resume，来 share 一下屏幕哈。我们这个 organization 呢，成立了也有将近应该有2年了哈。好，我们过去2年当中呢，陆续做过不少的活动。哎，首先呢，我们做个 disclaimer，非常简单的 disclaimer。我们这个organization 呢，目的是做 education only。哎，这是 student led，然后呢，parents support。所有的 activity，所有的 material，这只是education purpose only，我们不会构成任何的 recommendation。哎，给大家做这么一个disclosure 哈。好，那这个 organization 呢，我们的目标呢是为了提高青少年的财商。teaching financial skills。我们的做法呢，目前是做了不少的 online workshops。当然，近期呢，我们也做了一些线下的一些活动，在有些地区，主要是在休斯顿地区做了不少的线下活动哈。那未来呢，我们也希望能够增加一些其他地区的线下活动。好，那在这个过程当中呢，我们是做法，我们寻找 volunteers，对 financial education 有兴趣的这些青少年来给我们做 speakers。我们会提供 volunteer hours。当然，这些 training 的话呢，我们会给就是每个 topic 我们会提供 training 哈。好，那这样的话呢，我们期待能够develop 这些参与者的 public speaking skills 以及 leadership skill 哈。那这是我们的 mission。那这个中间呢，今天呢，我们大概讲讲今天的 agenda。那今天呢，我们有两位非常非常优秀的讲员哈。我们 focus 呢 financial aid。那既然这2位讲员呢，一位是我就 Sally 哈，Sally 在线上，她会是第一个 speaker。这是我非常 proud 的一个我的朋友的孩子哈。马上要去 Stanford。那这是我非常非常 proud of you 哈。那这是也第一个讲员。我们第二个讲员呢，Wilson。Wilson 呢去 Boston College。very very impressive。那这2位的学生呢，都是进了非常很好很好的私立学校哈。好，那一会儿呢，他们会给我们介绍financial aid 的基础。one on one。然后呢，这是 Sally 会给我们介绍。之后呢，Wilson 会给我们讲一下这个去申请 financial aid 会有2个流程，2个重要的表格，一个叫 FAFSA，一个是 CSS Profile。这个流程怎么做？他们这2位学生呢，去年刚好都经历过。他们都填过一次的表格了哈。所以对这个流程记忆还非常犹新的。好，那这第一部分结束之后呢，我会给大家再介绍一下我们这边除了我们这 non-profit 的 program 之外呢，我们还有一些 resources 提供，不仅仅是孩子，还包含我们的家长的一些哪些的这些 resources 哈。那之后呢，我们再请这位2位讲员讲讲他们申请大学的这个 tips。我想很多家长，包含我自己，都对这方面呢也非常非常的期待哈。我的小孩明年就要申请大学了。好，那这是今天的这个流程。这个 agenda。好，那下面呢，我就把时间交给我们的第一位讲员。Sally。好，Sally。你准备好了是吧？
Okay.
好，very good。好的，Go ahead。Feel free to speak English。
Okay.
嗯。
So one of the reasons why we have this presentation today and we have our financial education, it's because college cost is simply too high. And if we look at the chart here for
Cindy, are you
some
sharing?
top,
Can you share the other screen? I think you are sharing
Sally。
your notes there.
oh wait, I
你
think
是有
that,
2个 screen 是吧？You have 2
Yeah,
screens。
there is another one. Maybe if you can.
wait, let me try.
So when you click the room share, you can share one screen or
Okay,
one
okay.
monitor, either way.
如果大家有问题呢，刚开始的时候有什么问题可以type 到 chat 里头。好，我们等到所有的活动结束之后呢，我们来回答大家的问题。 啊，very good，这个看起
Wait,
来
this
哦，
one is still not the right.
so there's is a share button if it
Okay, wait, okay. Now it should be good, right?
yeah, it's perfect. Very good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So if we look at the chart here for top private universities like Princeton, Harvard, UPenn, Northwestern, Rice, and Stanford, their costs are pretty high, and it's from like 90,000-ish to even 100,000. And for public universities, the difference are set between in-state and out-of-state. For in-state students, it's a lot cheaper. For example, if you look at University of Washington, UW, for in-state students, it's significantly lower, and it's about half the price compared to out-of-state students. And if you look at the chart here, due to inflation, the overall consumer price is continuing to rise, and the same thing is happening with our college education prices. And the education cost is even increasing at a higher rate at 6.3%. If we look at the red line, we can see this upward trend, and it's still continuing. So for families today, if they need to consider their kids' college education, they need to consider the college cost. And that also depends on how many kids you have and how old are they right now, and whether the family is prepared or not. Let's say right now we assume that we want to attend a private university that's 90,000 per year, and the yearly increase it's still 6.3%. If right now the kid it's 8 years old, and when she's in college, it will be this price. And now if our kid is only 3 year old, due to the inflation rate, the cost will be this. It's a significantly high number, and that's why some people call kids their money devouring cute beasts. So the question is, do we have to pay all? Luckily, the answer is no. For example, let's look at Stanford. On their financial aid website, they have this detailed chart, and it's similar for other colleges as well. You can always find these detailed information on their website. For Stanford, if we look at this middle range, when the family total income is around 200K to 250K, 89% of the families get financial aid, and the average is about half of the cost. But for families with a higher gross income, from 350K to 400K, only 41% of them get financial aid. That's significantly lower than our 89% because the colleges expect the family to contribute more to their kids' education due to their higher income. And they get on average 23,000 as grants. Meanwhile, for families with lower income, we can see a higher percent of applicants are qualified for scholarship aid from Stanford. But also notice that the percentage is not always 100. It's because family income is not the sole factor that schools take into consideration when giving out scholarship and financial aid. So here we have a simplified financial aid formula. It's need equals to COA, which is the cost of attendance. This includes like tuition, housing, food, and that cost of attendance minus our SAI, which is student aid index or expected family contribution. FAFSA used to use expected family contribution, but now they changed it to SAI, but they mean the same thing. Those are the amount that colleges expect family to contribute for their kids' education. So the need is basically what the family need and what the financial package will be. So if the cost of attendance for college stays the same, to get more money, to get more financial aid from the college, our goal is to lower the SAI or the EFC. And here's a simplified version of how our SAI and EFC is calculated. It's broken down into different components. Here we have A, B, C, D, and those are weighted differently. So you can see those A, B, C, Ds are times two different factors. It's because colleges don't see all the dollars as the same value. Because, for example, we have A here, it's parent income. Those are timed to 20%. But for B, parent asset, those are different, and those are only timed to 5.64%. Although 5.64 seems like a small number, but parent asset, that could be a big number. So yeah, that's how the weighing works. And then for C and D, it's based on student income and student asset. Those two numbers are usually lower because most students don't have a high income or asset. And then for our component B, parent asset, it's further broken down into our includable and excludable. So for includable ones, those are checkings, savings, CDs, stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual fund, trust fund, 529, which is college saving account, and investment property. Those are not your permanent residence. And then resident home, but some public school may exclude our resident home. And for our excludables, it's more like retirement asset, like 401k. The idea is they do not expect you to use the money in your retirement asset for your kids' college education. So those money are put aside. And we also have qualified annuity and 7702. Those are excludable, meaning colleges don't consider these categories when they are calculating your financial aid packages. But we do need to pay attention to those includables because those are what that do get counted. So to get as much aid as we can, the general strategy is to gradually transfer your money under those includables into the excludables, but they still require careful planning and strategic choices. And here's one of the myths about financial aid. It's, well, financial aid hurt my chance of being admitted. The answer is for some need-blind colleges, and they often state their need-blind admission on their website under their financial aid webpage. They usually state that the applying for aid will not disadvantage students in the admission process. So that's how they ensure the equality of opportunity for low and middle income students. And this is because colleges like this, they have two different offices, like financial aid offices and also admission offices. They view your admission packages differently, and the two offices do not communicate with each other. So when you apply to colleges, they look at your academic record, look at your essays, look at your activities and recommendation letters. Those go to the admission officer's hand. But your financial aid packages, those information you fill out about your family's financial aid background, only goes to the financial aid offices. And those two offices do not communicate with each other about students' financial situation. So those would not hurt any student's chance of being admitted. So in theory, students should apply to financial aid if they can, without fearing of without fearing that they will hurt their chances of being admitted. And our second myth here, are public schools more affordable? The answer is it depends. So here's an example that we listed. We have in-state public, out-of-state public, and private university. For in-state public, we see it has the lowest cost of attendance, but after getting the financial aid, which is 0, and we ended up with the same cost as the cost of attendance. But for out-of-state public, we get some financial aid. And then for our private university, Boston U here, we get more financial aid. although Boston U has a higher cost of attendance, but then adding on the financial aid, that will lead to an overall lower cost for the college. So the answer to this myth is it depends. Sometimes private universities are even more generous with their aid, thus in turn, students need to pay less to go to that school. And in this example, obviously, the student chose the third option, private university. Next, the next speaker will introduce the process and how do you apply to financial aid.
Okay, hello everyone. So my name is Wilson and I will be a freshman this year at Boston College. And I'm studying applied psychology and hoping to be pre-med so that I can go to medical school after college. So I'm going to be talking about the process for applying to financial aid. So there's two different ways to apply for financial aid. There's the FAFSA, which is free, or sorry, I don't know the acronym, but the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. So every school is going to ask for the FAFSA. So you have to fill this out regardless of where you apply. And then the CSS/ financial aid profile is the College Scholarship Service financial aid profile. And this is under the College Board Foundation. So this is usually for private schools, and then also some public schools will ask for this. So make sure to check whether your school requires this or not. So the FAFSA will be open on October 1st every year. And then the CSS profile will be open at the same time. And then the November 1st will be the priority deadline. So if you're applying for like early action or an early decision round, then you want to make sure you fill out the FAFSA and CSS profile by November 1st so that when you receive your offer of admission, you'll know your financial aid package. If you fill it out later, you'll still receive your financial aid package, but you'll receive it later because you won't be given priority. So then it'll take a longer time for you to know like whether you received financial aid or not, which can impact your admission decisions of like where you decide to go to college. And then if you are just doing regular decision, then you can fill it out later. But you still want to fill it out as early as possible because it does take them some time to process your application. So you want to give them as much time as possible just in case. So for both the FAFSA and CSS profile, they need to know your financial information. For FAFSA, you will need to create your account, and then CSS profile, you would just use your College Board login if you already have that, or you need to create one. And then they're going to look at your financial information. So you need to have this information on hand, and then you either like enter it into the system or you'll need to upload the forms. So they'll look at your tax return, so the 1040 form, and also if you have any schedules. And then they also want to look at each parent's W-2 forms, and then also if the student has a job, they want to look at the student's W-2 form as well. And then they want to look at bank statements, so how much money you have in the bank in each saving account. And then any other financial documents, they'll specifically request if they want to see more forms. And then they also need just basic information about you. And then for the College Board, they'll give you a College Board financial aid ID. So this is important. You don't want to lose this because it's how you will like verify your account so that you can receive your financial aid package. So the base year for the FAFSA is not the exact year that you're applying for college. So you can see that if you're applying for college this fall, so for 26 to 27, you need to use your tax return from 2024 instead, because at this point you won't have the tax return for 2025 yet necessarily. So they want to see the one from 2024. So it's the one from 2 years before. So you want to make sure to pay attention to which year they're asking for. So the FAFSA will look something like this. So you can fill it out online, so it will be easier to fill out than filling it out on paper. But if you fill it out on paper, it will look like this. So you just enter how much you have in each category. So this is all looking at the date of submission. So whichever day you submit it on, just enter the numbers from that day. You don't have to like estimate how much they'll be in the future or like at the end of the year. And usually for people, these won't change much within a short period of time anyway. So when they're asking about your investments or your net worth, they include rental property, trust funds, UGMA/UTMA, money market, mutual funds, CDs, stocks, options, bonds, any other kinds of securities. and then other things that they'll list. They don't look at Coverdale savings accounts, 529 college saving plans, or prepaid tuition plans. So again, make sure to look very carefully at what they want you to include and then not include. So investments, again, do not include the home you live in. This is very important because the home you live in can often be very valuable. So if you do include the home you live in, it'll make it look like you have a lot more money than you might actually have. And then also life insurance, ABLE account, and then any retirement plans. Again, they don't expect parents to contribute to their child's finances out of their retirement plans, so they don't look at retirement plans. So the CSS profile will look like this. So you log in on the College Board, and then you will fill out the information, and then you need to list which schools you send it to. And then if you're applying to the CSS profile this fall, one important thing to know is that you need to know what is the school code of which school you need to send it to. So for example, if you're applying to New York University, you need to know the school code because sometimes schools will have very similar names, like New York University and City University of New York have very similar names. So you want to make sure you're sending it to the right school. And then this is a lot of the information they will ask you to fill out. So it's important that students and parents are working together on this because like the students might not know the parents' assets. So the students need to ask the parents what are the parents' assets. So these are some of the planning strategies that you can use to save for college. So right now, if you have young children, you want to start saving early and you want to save in financial aid friendly ways. So this means you want to primarily put money into retirement accounts as those are not included in the financial aid calculation. And you also want to try tax saving strategies. And then if your students are in middle or high school right now, you want to adjust your investment portfolio and reduce risk. And then also reallocate family assets to lower impact on EFC. So again, making sure to try to save in retirement accounts. And then for junior and senior year, you want to submit your FAFSA and CSS profile as soon as you're able to. And I also plan to make sure that you'll have enough money for all 4 years of college. So just some general tips, again, that we already covered. So private school doesn't always cost more than a public university. Every school will calculate your financial aid differently. So you want to make sure to look at the specific package for each school. And then financial aid depends on asset planning, not just income. So if you have a high income but not a lot of assets, then you might receive more financial aid than someone with low income but a lot of assets. So again, you want to plan your assets correctly to maximize your financial aid. And then also increasing your financial aid through proper planning, like don't save college funds in your child's name as they might be counted more. And then also shift assets from countable to non-countable when appropriate. 529 plans aren't the only or always best way to fund for college. So make sure to do research into 529 plans if you're looking into those. And then also try to reduce taxable income if possible, for example, if you're a business owner. And make sure to start planning early to make sure that you'll have enough money to get through 4 years of college. And also make sure to apply for the FAFSA and CSS profile every year. You don't just apply for it once at the beginning, you do have to reapply every year. And your aid may change from year to year depending on if your financial situation changes.
Okay, great.
That's all. Now I will hand it back to the host.
Okay, yeah, thank you, thank you，谢谢两位讲员哈，大家是不是感觉听了很多的词啊？我是十几年前，在我女儿1岁左右的时候听过类似的这么一个 information session，那个时候一个感觉就是，哎，孩子上学这个感觉好多的内容是关于财务的，哎，W2 1040，然后刚才 Wilson 提到好多的词哈，像 able accounts。401k tax 等等哈，其实这些词汇来说呢，它其实乍一听好像不是孩子上学的事情，哎，这事实上是一个 financial planning 的事情哈。好，那我这边呢，我大概 share 一下哈，我给大家是讲一下我们这块呢，刚才最开始我们提到了我们这边 non-profit 的一些内容哈。那我大概讲讲我们这边呢，除了我们 non-profit 的这些 information 之外呢，我们还是一直给大家提供更多的跟财务相关的各种各样子的 resources，哎，包含像 college saving，哎，像刚才 Wilson 也提到了，像两位讲员都提到，我们尽量能拿 financial aid，但是如果拿的不够，我们家长还是要自己存钱，哎，要不然就是孩子拿学生贷款。 哎，今天没有说提到学生贷款，学生贷款的利息是非常高的哈。哎，我是十几年前就 surprise，当时是低利息的时候，学生贷款的利息呢，哎，常见的学生贷款利息是7%以上。哎，是像当然现在高息阶段哈，哎，那大家去看一下，research 一下，financial loan 就是 student loan 的利息是非常恐怖的哈。哎，那也就是说呢，咱们家长要提前准备。那现实当中呢，我经常看到很多家长在孩子上初中的时候都觉得还早。哎，我说不早了。哎，我家是在我小孩1岁的时候我就开始去了解这些内容了哈。好，那这是第一方面，我们经常给大家提供的这些plan。哎，刚才讲员也提到了，我们要 systematic 的 plan early，但是怎么 plan？哎，一般我们呢，我那个时候是找了 professional 去做的。哎，所以呢，最好能跟 professional 聊起来。那我们这个平台上呢，有好多的专门做这个行业，我在这个行业从事这个行业十几年了。哎，因为寻找小孩的 financial fund，哎，所以呢，最终我以前学物理的哈，哎，从物理转行到personal finance 这一块儿。哎，这是这一点，我们经常给大家提供的 resources。那第二个 resources 呢，叫 tax saving。哎，就最终都是税。哎，最终所有的都是 tax 的东西。哎，我们要提供 1040，不管是 FAFSA 还是 CSS profile 都是必须的哈。好，那怎么能够就是我们的税收减，就是我们的 income tax 看上去越少越容易拿，那怎么能够 minimize 我们的 income tax？这也是一点。哎，刚才 Wilson 快提到一下。像如果你是 W2，哎，其实方法呢不多，有非常少的一点点。但是如果你是 business owner，有很多办法可以，就是说让你的 taxable income 看起来少一点哈。好，那这是第二点。第三个呢，哎，其实这也不太相关，哎，mortgage planning，但是有点相关。比如说呢，你有2个房子，一个是投资房，一个是自己住的房。哎，Sally 提到的哈，哎，就是 investment home 和这个 resident home。那如果这2个房子都有贷款，哎，我们知道，如果是很多人说我把投资房先付清，因为利息高一点。但假如说如果我要想 plan financial aid，那我们的策略就要变一下了，对吧？哎，如果投资房里的 equity 太多，那有可能我就很难拿到 financial aid。好，那这是 mortgage planning，当然包含很多别的信息哈。哎，retirement planning，哎，怎么 retire？哎，孩子是我们的很多家长的 priority，那我们自己也要关注好哈。哎，那我们财务积累的非常好了之后呢，哎，怎么把这个剩余的资产有效的传给我们的想要传给的人？哎，比如说我们的子女。我们知道美国一个很重要的问题就是遗产税。哎，我们华盛顿州的遗产税免税额度3个 million 哈。但是税率很高。哎，税率非常高哈。哎，虽然我们华州没有 income tax。那这些方方面面呢，都是我们给大家提供的更多的 resources。哎，就不仅仅持续在一个说 financial education 的层面哈。好，那这是就是说 financial literacy。哎，我们经常家长们要去关注的哪一些？当然，你如果是一个 young adult，慢慢要去工作，要去上班，这些呢，大家也都要去关注这些信息了哈。好，那这个呢是这是美国的现状哈，说将近90%的 Americans 都是理解，自己也知道，哎，我们的 financial 的 literacy 呢是不够的，那是不够的哈。那也有很多的人呢说，超过一半的人呢觉得我们是要 prioritize 这个 financial education，但是问题在什么呢？哎，这也是超过就是将近2/3的人。哎，其实大家也有感觉哈，学校并不教这些。哎，至少目前不教。很多学校呢，可能提供最 basic 的一点信息，但是很难系统的去教。别说这个是这个就是像小学、初中、高中，就算很多大学也很少有这种 personal finance 这样子的课程。哎，当然呢，我感觉最近这个 society 也理解到这个问题哈。这是前2天我刚看到的一个新闻。哎，这大家去看一下哈。就是现在呢，从2027年第一次，这是 first time。开始有给高中生提供 AP 的 exam，叫 Personal Finance。当然，这里不仅仅是 Personal Finance，叫 Business with Personal Finance 这样子的课程了。哎，我看到这个信息呢也非常开心，因为我们一直过去10几年一直在做这个 financial education。哎，当然呢，近2年我们 expand 到这个青少年哈。好，那我们这一块呢，一直给大家提供的 financial education 呢，包含的内容是非常实实在在的。哎，有时候。 我也有不少朋友是在学校里学 finance 的哈，但是学校的 finance 呢，他们有跟我提到，就是比较 focus 是 corporate finance，就是我学这些东西是为了公司服务的，为了我以后上班服务公司的。但是个人的话呢，哎，反而在学校里教的非常少。哎，那我们这边呢，几乎一直给大家提供的是关注于我们自身的，哎，就是比如说股票呀、基金呐、mutual fund 呀、401k 怎么选呀等等哈，这都是非常贴近到每个家庭的哈。哎，那当然我是十几年前这是2011年，15年前哈，因为我小孩要找教育基金，哎，我开始去学习这些，哎，后来发现呢，其实这些跟我们其他方面也相关，哎，比如说。我以前学物理的不讲话，哎，也不会做 presentation，哎，慢慢学习做 presentation，哎，后来发现呢，这些在美国这块儿还是非常重要的哈，特别是我家小孩明年要申请大学了，最近我也非常关注这块儿哈，哎，这边对这种 communication 啦、leadership 呀，哎，大家都非常的关注哈，好，那也是因为学习这些东西呢，后面逐渐转行了。哎，那当然，我们这边呢会一直持续的给家长和青少年提供这样子的一些内容。哎如果大家有兴趣呢，可以私下来联系我们哈，就是怎么系统的来参与。好，那当然呢，我们像现在呢还有一点，哎，就是很多家长都在问哈，这个孩子未来学什么？感觉这个 AI 的发展，不管学什么都没有安全感，是不是？对吧？好，那也就是说呢，那我后来想想，这个孩子学什么可能不重要，关键呢学的是这个我的 ability to adapt。哎，那我这边呢也是十几年前，因为就是孩子的问题，我开始转行，哎，就在因为也是这样有了不少的适应性哈，哎，那像有些朋友家长们如果觉得自己现在工作不稳呢，哎，我们也会提供大家这个 opportunity to earn，哎，像有些人想做第二职业呀。哎，我后来发现这个财务、金融服务哈，家庭的个人理财服务，这个缺口还是非常大的哈。哎，那我们现在这边呢，就是做各种各样子的，哎，省税啊、college 啊、retirement 呢都会有哈。好，那甚至我们也有 college student 给我们做 part time 的也有，因为学费太贵了，所以有些 college student 想赚外快来去补充哈。好，那我这边的时间呢？介绍就到这里哈，下面呢，我再把时间交给我们的讲员我们的嘉宾 Sally 和 Wilson 来讲讲这个大学申请的一些 tips。好，我来 stop share 一下。
Let me share my slides. Okay, so hi again. I'm an incoming freshman at Stanford University, and my intended majors are bioengineering or electrical engineering. And my interests are scrapbooking, piano, painting, and STEM. And I moved to the US in sixth grade, right before COVID. And here's my email if you have more questions. And I'll be sharing some tips for just navigating high school in general and also college applications. So here's my profile. You can read through it. I basically have some research experiences and some like STEM related extracurriculars and also some community service. Yeah, so the first part would be making the most of high school. I'll be talking about courses, clubs, and some summer opportunities. And the second part is it's about navigating the college application process. I'll be sharing about college lists, your recommendation letters, essays, and activity list. So for courses, I'd say challenge yourself with rigorous courses like APs, IBs, but also at the same time, don't overload yourself. It's great to have some AP courses, but not like 7 AP courses if you can't handle them and getting Bs in all of those classes. And second point, it's great to show progression. As your grade move up, it's better to take more advanced classes, classes that are more selective or classes that require higher time, more time commitment. And it's also necessary to step outside of your comfort zones. I feel like some students would think, okay, if I'm good at STEM and I'll only be taking STEM related courses and AP courses that are STEM oriented. But in but actually it's also quite important to also take humanity courses for STEM students and vice versa, because then you'll be able to show that you're a more well-rounded student and you're capable in thinking in different directions, in different perspectives. And the fourth point is to plan ahead and check prerequisites. For example, you need to take calculus before AP Physics C because AP Physics C is calculus based. And then for clubs, I'd say it's good to check out a mix of different clubs in early on to explore your different interests. But then in a later stage, it's better to stick with a few that you're genuinely passionate about and you can grow in. And remember quality over quantity. And also don't be afraid to try new things and try some new fields. And I do think it's great to participate in some more competitive clubs like DECA, Robotics, HOSA, and Model UN. Most schools have those clubs. And although they are more time consuming and requires more energy than some basic clubs, but the outcome is also better and would be more advantageous for you when you're applying to colleges, and you'll be able to learn more as you put more effort in. And then with summer opportunities, I think my 2 summer experience helped me the most during my college application process. I basically did an internship at UW during the summer after my sophomore year. Yeah. And another group-based lab on microbiology during the summer after my junior year. So most students would probably waste their summer opportunities, but their summertime, but it's such a precious time because you don't have classes. You have a long period of time that you can commit to and spend time into like summer courses, like pre-college courses to explore different subjects and earn credits. And you can also get into research programs and do some hands-on lab get some hands-on lab experience and work directly with professors and mentors. And you can also get workshops or camps and also do some passion projects by yourself or like volunteering test preps. Those are all good use of your summertime. And for applying to summer opportunities, I'd say look for programs that match your goals and values and explore multiple sources online. You can use Google and other different sources to find like research opportunities, to find like clinics, internships, service, and some community organizations, other programs offered by the universities, and programs recommended by your teachers, counselors, peers. Yeah, and then also apply early on because many programs deadline is in winter or spring, and they usually often require like essays and also recommendation letters from teachers. So I'd say it's like a simplified version of college application, but it's the same process. You do need to write essays like college app. You do need to ask your teachers for rec letters and also show genuine interest in your application, which is the same for college app. And then for college application, I'd say it's good to have a college list first. So build a balanced list of reach, target, and safety schools. And when you're choosing schools, it's good to look beyond the rankings. You need to consider the location, the weather, the campus culture, the cost, the career opportunities, etc. And also choose the schools you would genuinely be happy attending, even for those safeties. And if possible, you can attend a college campus tour. Those can greatly help you to build a different impression on each colleges. Yeah, on the right side, I put a Google spreadsheet that I used. So I first had a balanced list of all my reach, target, and safety schools. And later I reorganized them based on like EAs, those are those early actions that have earlier deadlines. And then RDs, those are regular decisions that have a later deadlines. And also UCs. UCs are in a different section because UC schools use a different application portal than the rest of them. So I had this Google spreadsheet and I use this to track my progress when I finished my essay or like finished my Common App portal or like student portal setup or other things like our portfolio submissions, etc. I would mark my role as done, so then I can clearly track my progress and know what I need to work on next. And for recommendation letters, I'd say ask teachers who know you well, ideally from sophomore or junior year, and in subjects that are matching your intended field. And it's also good for STEM students to ask a humanity teacher as well, because I think most top schools allow you to submit 3 rec letters. So for me, I'm in the STEM field, but I asked 2 of my STEM teachers and one humanity teacher. I think that worked out pretty well, and that also showed different sides of me. And I'd also say ask early, probably near the end of your junior year, and double check with them in the start of your senior year. So that will give them plenty of time to write your recommendation letter. And also share your resume with your teachers, your interest, and specific experiences or specific things they can reference in their letter that can greatly help them to write and also help the college and also greatly help your college application process because that your teachers are not just talking about broad terms in your recommendation letter. And also thank your teachers for their time and support, keep them updated and let them know when you're decided where you want to go for college. And then for activity lists, I recommend using strong specific verbs to describe your contributions like initiated, implemented, pioneered. Those are much more stronger than weak verbs like helped, made, did, and also quantify your impact when it's possible, like how many students you reached, how many events have you organized, and how many hours you've spent into this activity. And also make every character count because activity list it has a character limit, so use abbreviations when possible so you can fit in as much as information as you can. And then also order at your activities based on meaningfulness, impact, and selectivity. The order can really impact how your admission officer view you. Like if you're a more research-oriented or community service-oriented person. And then for essays, start early and give yourself time to revise and ask others for feedback. On the top right corner, I put 3 screenshots of my tabs when I was writing my essays because I started UC first. I started those near the end of May, and those essays have gone through many editions. So that's why I think I have a pretty great essays in near the end because I've edited so many times and asked for so much feedback from others. And also for your personal statement, I'd say choose a cohesive and compelling story that reveals something meaningful about you. Avoid broad terms and like cliches, of course. And use your essays to show sides of yourself that aren't already in your application or elaborate on your activities. That can be helpful too, because then you can elaborate based on those numbers. In your essays, you can talk about the stories, the lessons you learned, the values. Yeah, and then also be authentic, write in your own voice instead of trying to sound impressive. Lastly, some general tips. So we know high school is a process of discovering who you are, your strengths, weaknesses, passions, values, etc. And it can be stressful, so take time to manage your mental health and pace yourself. And also remember, don't look at social media when you're going through the college application process. It can be really stressful. And you sometimes you just couldn't help to compare yourself with others. So try to focus on yourself and focus on your work and try to do the best that you can. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now I will share some of my tips that I had. So, Sally talked more about like how like what you should put in your application, also like tips for high school. I wanted to share more about like building your college list. This is very important. So, on the Common App, which is the main application, you're only allowed to apply to 20 schools. And then there's also the UC application where you can apply to all the UCs, but basically you are limited in how many schools you can actually apply to. And then of course, like you won't have that much time, so you can't just apply to every school. So I think it's very important that you actually choose which schools you want to apply to based on like if you actually like the school versus just like the ranking or like if people you know go there or it looks fun. But then if you actually look into it more, you might realize that it's not really the school for you. So an example of this I have is that when I went to Boston and I visited Harvard University, and of course, like Harvard's a really great school, so a lot of people would want to go to Harvard, and I thought I would like it too. But then when I actually went there and I went on the college tour, I realized that I didn't actually really like the school. I didn't feel like I fit in, and then I didn't like the way they did like their academics. So then I ended up not applying there. But if I hadn't gone and visited, I wouldn't have known that, and I would have just applied. But then I would have basically wasted my time because afterwards I would have realized if I got in, like I wouldn't have wanted to go. So this applies for like a lot of schools. So I would say if you can try to go to like the college campus tours, or even if you aren't able to get into a tour, just you can just go and like walk around the college and see what it's like. Because of course, like if you just look at a school online, every school is going to try to make themselves look really good online. But then once you actually go there, you'll see what it actually looks like. And then also you can talk to people who go to school there, and they can share like their insider perspective. And you don't necessarily have to like specifically plan to go on a college tour. For example, whenever you're visiting a general area, you can go. If you're just going on vacation, you can also just take out some time to go and look at the schools nearby. For example, like if you're going to Los Angeles to go to like Disneyland, you can also go look at like UCLA and then like Claremont colleges and other colleges in the area. It doesn't take that much time, but once you get there, you'll know pretty quickly whether you actually like the school or not. And then like again, I think this is really important because you're going to be spending like 4 years at college, and you might not think so, but a lot of people actually do end up transferring out of the school they initially went to. So like when I would go on the college tours, a lot of the tour guides they would be like transfer students, not students who initially got in. And then especially I feel like a lot of people who go to public schools in other states, they tend to transfer out because they feel like they don't really fit in there. So I think it's really important, even if you can't like visit a school or talk to people, try to like look online and get as much information as you can about the school to see whether it's actually a good fit for you. And of course, like you can look at the school's location, but also it's really important to look at the school's academics. That's like obviously like a really important part of the school. So like if you look at your intended major, a lot of schools will structure majors very differently. So for my major that I applied for, I didn't really realize when I applied for it at first, but the way they structure is very unique because they focus on like gaining practical work experience, which I actually didn't know when I initially applied for it. But if I had known that when I initially applied for it, I would have like wanted to go there a lot more. So I would have honestly like tried a lot harder on my application. So I mean, I still got in, but that was like I wish I had known that when I was initially applying. And then a lot of other schools, like for psychology, they will do it more focused on like theory or like neuroscience, which I don't like as much. So I wish when I was applying, I looked into that more to see like which schools actually focus on what. And then so using these, once you've done a lot of research, it can help you to build your college list so that you're applying to schools that you actually want to go to rather than just, like schools based on their ranking or their prestige.
Great, yeah, thank you 谢谢两位哈。我有一个 question 就是Wilson，你刚刚接着你的话题有一个问题就是你什么时候 when you started looking at the college list？
Yeah, so like I said, like you can even if your kids are young, you can when you're going on vacation or something, you can just take them to look at the school. Of course, they don't have to worry about your college list until like probably like junior year. Like you can start thinking about it, and then senior year you'll have to decide like where you're going to apply. But I think it's very helpful to just look at schools whenever you're able to, like if you're in the area. And like there's like a lot of schools out there, and you're not going to be able to see all of them within like the span of junior year, even if you're trying to go see a lot of colleges. So I think it's helpful to be doing it like all the time. And then like you don't even have to go on a tour. Just like once you're there, you'll have an impression of the school and you'll know what it's like the general feeling. And then like if you want to look at their academics or anything, you can always look online. But I think it's very important to know like feel like, see what the school looks like and feel like whether you'll fit in there or not. So I think it's something that you can be doing like since like your whole life basically. You don't have to only start thinking about colleges at the beginning of junior year or senior year, but then is the time that you would start thinking about it like more seriously.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, great. So any other question? We'll have some time for Q&A. And if you have any question, I see some question on the chat. I replied a little bit, but there are more questions. So let's take a look. So I remember someone was asking about the cost. Does it only including tuition? It's actually when you go to college, it not only the tuition costs, the room and board and the books, supplies, transportation, and everything. So the COA, cost of attendance, include those fees as well. So what other questions? So let's see, someone is asking the video. So we usually do not share the video since we have students with us, but if you do want to know more details, you're welcome to contact us. We do have all the detailed information. Yeah, we are willing to share more information with everyone. So then some other question. Someone asking about the PowerPoint. Usually this is a PowerPoint internal. So, but usually it's like this. These PowerPoints mostly are bullet points. So even if we send out a lot of details, it might not be as clear as, if you just listen the explanation. Just feel free to contact us. So we'll make time for you if you have any question. So then another one, other questions. Do all school takes what? Takes HIPS? I guess probably scholarships. I try to understand what it
Yeah,
means.
it's scholarships.
Okay, scholarships. So here I will just explain the difference between scholarship and what we so-called financial aid. Actually, financial aid includes scholarships. Financial aid is a broad term. So it's well, a lot of people think it might be for the low income, but it's not. That's not true. So financial aid include the grants, scholarship, loan. Financial aid actually include loan as well. Work study, it's very broad. So anything that's provided by the government or the school, we call it the financial aid. So the audience you ask about, probably you try to differentiate the merit based and the need based. So merit based, usually the student is very bright, and need based is it's judged by the family need. Right now, a lot of schools what they provide is need based, particularly good schools. So we had a college tour, I think last year to Boston. Vice Wilson, we visited Boston College as well. So we visited those colleges, including like that trip. We visited Harvard, Stanford, no, sorry, Harvard, MIT, Boston College, Yale, as well as Princeton. Those big names we visited all in that trip. All those schools, they said they only have need-based financial aid, no merit-based. So just want to, all those schools, what we described today in this presentation matters a lot. So that's the question. Any other question? It is possible, but there are more school using need-based. Oh, okay. Yeah, Wen Cong already replied. That's good. Okay. When should you start writing your college essay, and where can you find summer programs, internship, research opportunity? I think that's the question probably for Sally.
Okay. I don't think there's a should, but I'd just say start as early as possible. And for me, I just basically started brainstorming when I was in the second semester of my junior year. And I started my first draft after taking the AP in my junior year. So the end of May. That's when I started my first draft. And for summer programs, I'd say you can find those online. And also for my first internship, I actually found it, I actually learned about the opportunity at a science fair. So I went to a UW fair and they were sharing about those internships. And I can say also you can search like universities that are close to your homes and find the departments that you're interested in, and you can cold email those professors. And usually they're pretty nice. If you ask for some research opportunities, they most of the time they reply to you. I mean, not most of the time they reply to you, but most of the time, um, you'll be able to find something. And even if they are not able to offer you a position in their lab, they will recommend you other positions in other labs and other opportunities as well. Yeah. So just constantly looking for opportunities.
Yeah, great. Be proactive, right? Yeah, so yeah, right now we live in Washington. So me and my daughter now in the Bay Area. So we are actually having a research program in Stanford. Sally, you probably know about it. It's all about asking. Email the professor actually as early as possible. I think everything we need to start early, right? The same as the financial, kids' school, college cost planning as early as possible, right? Okay, great. Any other question? All right, so if no questions, so that's our activity today. Thanks for all attending. And any question, feel free to contact us. You have the email, just feel free to let us know. All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.